Dr. Faruk is with us now. Welcome back, Dr. Faruk.
Assalamu alaikum, Doctor.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I can't see you, but okay.
I want to open the video, but it says you can't start your video because the
No
host has
problem.
stopped
We are
it.
going to make you a co-host. It's already done. So you are now co-host. You can start, video as well, and we can see you. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyil amin. وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Honorable our online guest, teachers of the universities, professionals, and students, my dear brothers and sisters. We'd like to welcome you all to this last session of our 2 days workshop on Islamic banks, products and services. And this is our last session and the fourth session. And our instructor, Dr. Muhammad Faruk Abdullah, will be conducting this session on financing products of Islamic banking. He will be talking about personal financing and credit cards and many other relevant topics and contents. And inshallah, I believe that his materials and presentation will benefit us all. So I would suggest all participants to focus on this workshop, part of our Nadil Iqtisad al-Islami. This is a good initiative taken by the association, and in future, inshallah, we'll be taking more initiatives. So without further ado, let me welcome Muhammad Faruk Abdullah, PhD, to conduct the fourth session. مرحبا بك يا دكتورنا الفاضل، أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم. تفضل مشكورا دكتور.
Shukran jazilan, jazakallah khair. Thank you very much to Dr. Muhammad Mahiuddin. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyil amin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. اللهم افتح علينا حكمتك وانشر علينا خزائن رحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Respected Dr. Muhammad Mahiuddin and the representatives from the Islamic Economic Association, Nadia Al-Iqtisad Al-Islami, and dear participants, lecturers and students. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and very good evening to all of you. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah that we meet again today. So we just met yesterday on Islamic banks. We were discussing the deposit products of an Islamic banks, and Alhamdulillah, it was quite interactive. I got questions, so we showed that many of you were really interested to know some of the issues in the deposit products. Well, so inshallah, today I'll continue on the financing product, and I hope in the morning Dr. Sharif, he explained well on some financing products, which are home financing and car financing. So let me share with you my slide for okay, Dr. Mahiuddin, can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You can make it bigger.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank
All
you.
right. These financing products of Islamic banking, so there are a lot of financing products, and the main products most over the home and car financing and personal and credit cards. So these four are actually will be discussed. We will cover in these workshops, and I hope Dr. Sharif already covered on the home financing based on musharakah and also based on Tawarook, and then the car financing based on ijara or ijara summa al-bay'. So for this session, I hope that all the participants, those who join, inshallah, they will be able to understand the operation of Islamic personal financing. Of course, personal financing is a need to many, and many are involved to take this financing, and also to understand how Islamic credit card works, which is one of the popular products of banks, and of course in Islamic banks as well. So many ask how the Islamic credit card works. How is it? In what way it is Islamic? So we'll discuss, inshallah. And of course, ultimately with this, I hope all the participants will be able to differentiate between the Islamic financing products and the conventional financing products. So just before starting, as we know that in Islamic bank, it always has two sides. One is the deposit side, another one is the financing side. So yesterday when I talked about the deposit side, where the customers, they put money in the bank and then they get profit based on mudaraba or wadi'ah and others. However, in the financing side, when the bank gets deposits, the bank will mostly give financing. In the conventional banks, they will give loans and then they will charge interest from the customers. However, Islamic banks, we do not say they give loan, rather we say they give financing. Islamic bank finances, helps the customer to buy through a buying and selling or arrangement or other contractual arrangements, so that through this financing, the customer can fulfill his needs of getting cash, or the need to have the car, or to purchase something that he wants. At the same time, bank also wants to have profit from this mechanism, this financing mechanism. While in the conventional, they will just give loan and charge interest, but in Islamic bank, instead of giving loan, they will involve with buying and selling mechanism, or leasing mechanism, or some other contractual agreement. So the ultimate objective will always be that the bank will have some profit from this financing. So that is bank's income, and also this profit also will be shared to the depositors at the end. Now, this financing, as we know, the Islamic financing should be free from riba, or should be free from garar or maisir, or which is gambling, al-maisir. So in order to be free from that, and at the same time to get some profit from that financing, they use some Sharia concepts. So now so among all those types of financing, the most popular one is the home financing, and then the car, and then the Islamic personal financing. So personal financing is, so what's the nature of this personal financing? Well, comparing with other financing like home or car, the personal financing and also the credit card, their nature is they are unsecured financing. Means that this is a financing given. Even in the conventional banks, they give this personal loan to the customers without any collateral. Collateral means any security for debt. Usually, if we look into home financing or car financing, there is a collateral. Usually, the house itself will be used as a collateral, or as a place what you say. For understand to make it simple, but for personal financing, the financing is given based on the credit scoring. If a customer had a good credit score, so if he's then he will be eligible to get the financing, but there will not be any collateral for that. And personal financing usually is to fulfill some personal needs of person, like and it's the various types of needs. This can include paying the tuition fees, buying household needs, and expenditure for marriage, paying the fees for the children, or sometimes to repair the car. So all these come under the personal financing. And this personal financing is mostly for short term, comparing with others. Like if we look at home financing, is sometimes is for 30 years. If car, usually 9 years or 7 years. But usually the personal financing is for usually between 2 to 6 years. That's because this is and also the amount given is also lower comparing with other types of financing. So that's the general nature of a personal financing. And of course, personal financing is also very important for the clients, because all of us, we have different types of needs. Not sometimes those are the needs cannot be covered by car or home or even credit card. So we need to have personal financing, for which is a cash to fulfill our short-term needs. So now, how this personal financing works in Islamic banks. So for Islamic banks, as I said before, instead of just giving loan and charging interest, they will use some underlying contracts, so that the customer can get cash that he requires, he needs. At the same time, the bank's intention is also to have some profit from this financing. Of course, the bank is not a welfare institution, and the bank needs to survive, and also the bank needs to give profit to the depositors, so they need to have profit from this financing. Now, these are the contracts that Islamic banks, they use for personal financing. One is the Tawarook. Well, the Tawarook is the right now is the most dominant contract in Islamic banks now. While previously it used to be Bai'ul Ina, especially in this in Southeast Asia, means in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Brunei. So Bai'ul Ina used to be a sell and buyback agreement, that someone buys an asset from the seller, and then on credit, and then immediately he sells back for cash. So that is Bai'ul Ina. However, the Tawarook is and this Bai'ul Ina was controversial, and because of the controversy and so many academic writing or critique on Bai'ul Ina, so most of the banks in Malaysia, they already changed from Bai'ul Ina to Tawarook. And Tawarook is the advanced, and it has less controversy, even though it's not free from controversy or critique. criticism. However, it is better in the sense that Tawarook will involve 3 or 4 parties, means that the person who needs cash, he will buy an asset on credit and then he'll sell to someone else instead of selling back to the same person. That what happened in the case of Bai'ul Ina. So in the case of Tawarook, it will involve 3 or 4. And in case of Malaysia, where there is the suq sil'ah that I discussed yesterday, that that I discussed yesterday. I think there is a question at the time. Somebody asked for slide. I think the slide is given and can download, and if not, we also will share later on. And yes, from the participant, just a reminder, means you can post your question in the chat section or in the Q&A, and also maybe after some time, I'll also we'll stop to take your questions, maybe after half an hour or maybe 40 minutes later. So come back to this Tawarook and again Bai'ul Ina. So the Tawarook is it will involve 3 or 4 parties, where the customer or the person who needs cash, he will buy on credit an asset and then sell it to someone else for cash. So with that, he will fulfill his needs, and that's Tawarook is the most suitable for personal financing at the moment. And using in the context of Malaysia, using the Bursa Malaysia Suq Sil'ah, the commodity market, where it's a platform where it is very easy to get different types of brokers. So it is quite flexible to use the Tawarook. So with the Tawarook in personal financing, also there is qard, normal qard contract, or Qardul Hasan is also used, even though the Qardul Hasan is not that common in the financing side of the bank, but as in Ar-Rahnu financing, they use qard. And also there is Ar-Rahan, which is the Arabic word Ar-Rahan, which is pledge, to be precise, means to get cash and through giving something as pledge. It mostly gold or any valuable item, and then finally another contract is Wadia Yadul Amanah, which is safekeeping without guarantee, or without the guarantee of loss. So all the so when we know the contract, so what are the types of personal financing products? So usually 3 products that we see Islamic banks offer under the under the personal financing. First is the Tawarook personal financing, that is to give cash to the clients to fulfill their personal needs. And second product is Ar-Rahnu personal financing, the concept Ar-Rahan, which is a very fast way to, and this Ar-Rahnu personal financing is a different than a Tawarook, because here there is a pledge, there is collateral, which is secured financing compared with the Tawarook. And however, in Ar-Rahnu, it is very easy to get the financing approved, and it is fast. And then there is another one is share purchase financing, which is the clients, those who are interested to invest in share markets, they want to buy share and they need financing from the bank. So usually the banks will use a Murabaha contract, where the bank will buy the shares and sell to the clients with the profit. That is one of the way, and some of banks, they use musharaka for share purchase financing. However, today I will, but share purchase financing is not that popular, so I'll be discussing two products, which is Tawarook personal financing and Ar-Rahnu personal financing. Now, so the Tawarook personal financing, as I said, it is an alternative or advanced, or latest version or the best solution that we have now to the BBA or buy bithamanin ajil with that involves buyul ina, sell and buyback. And so this Tawarook financing, how it works, if the customer, if he needs cash to fulfill his personal needs, like to pay the tuition fees, for example, so it will approach the bank, and then the bank will execute this Tawarook transactions, and then it will give cash to the customer to fulfill his needs. So now, how this Tawarook operates, okay, as usually the bank sells a commodity to the customer for a delayed payment, and then bank sells it on behalf of the customer for cash to party and hand over the cash to the customer. So here, actually, what we see is the Tawarook al-Munazzam or organized Tawarook is used because the bank will do most of the things. The customer will approach the bank, and then the bank will sell a commodity to the customer, and then on behalf of the customer, the bank will sell that commodity for cash to other broker. So with that, the customer will get cash, and the bank can also can make profit from this transaction. So now, how it really works, I can give you an example for this personal financing. So here, let's say Mr. Aman, he needs, let's say, USD 10,000 cash to pay for his overdue son's tuition fees. He applies for an Islamic personal loan. Suppose the facility is approved with a full amount at 7% profit rate per annum and payable in 5 years. So the amount he wants 10,000 cash. So it is approved, and the bank will would like to have 7% profit, and the customer will need to pay back in 5 years. Okay, so now they will execute the transaction. So how it works, we can see here. So there are 4 parties here. That Mr. Aman is the client, the bank, the broker A, and there is commodity broker B. So at first, at the stage 1, the customer will request for this financing. So after approval, after getting the request from the customer, at the stage 2, the bank will purchase an asset with the cash. For cash, the value is $10,000. So the bank will buy it. Let's say it is crude oil, or it is aluminium, or what, or any kind of assets. The bank will buy through the commodity market. So after buying this asset, okay, so now bank is the owner of that asset. So the bank at stage 3, bank will sell that asset. Okay, at stage 3, the bank will sell that asset to the customer. Okay, at that cost price of 10,000 cash plus the profit. So how is the profit? As you see here, the 10,000 multiplied by 7% profit for 5 multiplied 5 years. So the total profit for the bank is 3,500. This is the total profit. So the bank will sell that asset to 10,000 plus 3,500. So 13,500. 500 to the client and then the client has to pay it in 5 years time. Okay, so it is a deferred sale. So again, at stage 3, the bank will sell that asset with cost plus a profit of 7% profit, which is 13,500 to the client on deferred basis, where the Mr. Aman needs to pay it back on monthly installments for 5 years. So now, Mr. Aman is the owner of the asset, even though he didn't pay yet. Okay, but the transaction is, the sale contract is done. So, however, Mr. Aman doesn't wants to hold that asset. He needs cash. So, at stage 4, Mr. Aman appoints the bank as an agent to sell the assets, because the client usually doesn't have the access to the commodity market. So it's the bank that actually has the access. So the Mr. Aman will appoint the bank as a wakil to sell that asset in the market. So at the stage 5, the bank as an wakil on behalf of the client sell the asset as the customer's agent for 10,000 cash, because the original value of the asset is 10,000. So when he goes to market and sells for cash, and he gets the mostly the same amount, is a 10,000. And because it is done very fast, so the price doesn't change much. So it's, let's say, 10,000, and the credit the amount to the customer's account. So once the item is sold for cash to another broker for 10,000, the cash is credited to the client. So Mr. Aman, he already got the cash that he needed. And then now at the stage 6, Mr. Aman pays the price on installment basis at, you see, is for 5 years. So 60 months, so which is $250 per month. So that this is the way how it works, the Tawarook financing. So how is it different than the conventional loan? So there are a lot of things. There is buying and selling. The bank will buy an asset and sell, and these assets, they are physical assets. They are real assets. And in any case, let's say Mr. Aman, he doesn't want to proceed with the sale contract, means after the third stage, he wants to stop. He doesn't want to sell back that asset to broker B. If he wants the delivery, the asset will be delivered to the client, to Mr. Aman. So we can see there is a buying and selling. So this is how the difference between riba and sale. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ahallallahu al-bay'a wa harrama riba, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed the sale and prohibited the riba. So what's the difference here is there is a commodity, there is a buying and selling. Even though the deferred price is higher, many will question that why the deferred price is higher. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. When we sell something for a deferred payment, we can ask for higher price, because it is between the customer and the buyer and seller to decide the price. So it is fine, and the scholars also agreed on that. Even the scholars, they say inna lizamani hissatun lisaman, means that the time, it also has a portion in the price of the commodity. So like the classical scholars, they also allowed to sell it for with a higher price when we do deferred transaction. So with this transaction, the ultimate goal achieved, which is for the client to have cash and for the bank to have a profit. So what is the issues in the Tawarook financing. What is the advantage and disadvantage? Well, Tawarook has as an advantage is that it is better than the BBA that used to be used to have a lot of criticism. The scholars they critique a lot, but Tawarook is a better with the and here there is a real commodity which is because of the uses of the suq usila, the commodity markets in the case of Malaysia. So that's the better, and it is good for the bank in a sense that the bank's profit is a fixed. Bank can get a fixed profit. At the same time, the customer also can get immediate cash. Now, the issue in Tawarook is still is there, as the classical scholars, even though they have allowed it, or not all of them, like the Hanbali scholars, they allowed it, the Tawarook, which comes from the oraka, means paper, to have cash. So the classical scholars, they disagreed on Tawarook, and then a majority of the scholars, what we can conclude from the classical scholars, that the majority of them allowed it, or the preferred opinion is that Tawarook is allowed, with the condition that it is not organized. Means that there is no pre-arrangement between the fast buyer, between the fast seller with the ultimate buyer, with the final buyer. Means in this case there shouldn't be any relation between the bank and the commodity broker, or the bank should not be the selling agent for the customer. So based on that, the contemporary scholars they allowed the original Tawarook, but they didn't allow the organized Tawarook. And the criticism or the issue in this Tawarook, mostly from in this model that I showed, is appointing the bank as the agent, selling agent. Means when the customer will buy the asset from the bank, and then the customer will pay, customer will appoint the bank as his agent or wakil to sell the asset. So here it seems like the customer doesn't need to do anything. The customer sometimes doesn't see the commodity, or he sometimes doesn't have any role to play. Usually the bank will organize, and bank will contract all these, and the brokers, and it is pre-arranged. So that actually triggers the issue of a hila, or as a legal trick, just to allow the riba in backdoor. Well, having said that, we can see this thing from another perspective, is that this Tawarook transaction, they have a real commodity. There is a real buying and selling, and most cases there is no arrangement between broker 1 or broker 2 with the bank. It can be free. But the thing which cannot be avoided is bank as the selling agent, because the customers, they do not have access to the commodity market, and that's was not possible. So it is a kind of dorurah, or is a need that because it's not possible, the platform does not allow the customers, the ordinary clients, to enter the commodity market. So because of that, the bank needs to be the selling agent. And so that's the scholars allow based on dorura, and maybe in the future, if possible, to improve the platform where the customer or the client will be free to trade in the commodity market. So that will make the remove the controversy in the Tawarook. And then a second issue, which is also very is a pressing issue, is excessive reliance on debt-based financing. The Tawarook is a debt-based financing, while many scholars they are propagating that Islamic finance is based on profit and loss sharing, is a musharaka. So they should introduce more on profit and loss sharing contracts, but the Tawarook is everywhere, is a debt-based contract, so we are excessively using it. We are relying on it too much. So, well, we cannot say Tawarook debt-based contract is haram. It is a halal, but to move forward, we may need to look for some better alternative. And then the third one is the excessive transactions in the commodity market, because Tawarook is everywhere. So many in credit cards, in commodity, in the deposit, in the fixed Islamic investment accounts, and home financing. So many Tawarooks are used, and like in the case of Malaysia, the transaction is the market is full. So many transactions are taking place. Sometimes the commodity is not enough. There is an issue that the commodity market needs to be extended. Need more to have more commodity brokers, more assets, because it is so excessive, and it also can trigger the concentration risk. Means we all look for the same thing and the same asset. So that's not good. We need to maybe look for something else. Well, in the meantime, I can see one question. Okay, maybe I can answer this now because it's related to Tawarook. When the customer purchases the commodity, is the serious margin refunded to him, or is it considered part of the price of the goods? Well, usually for personal financing, there's no you mean serious margin? You mean like Hamish Jiddiya or security deposit? I guess you mean that. So for personal financing, no security deposits or we call Hamish Jiddiya are not charged. Rather, it may be for home financing or for car financing, especially for Murabah. For Tawarook, it's not charged because the transaction cost is not much. Let's say the bank buys the commodity with the 10,000 US dollar. If the customer doesn't want to proceed, the bank can just sell it in the market immediately, and the transaction cost is only a few dollar. It's a very minimum. And the second is this Tawarook transaction happens very fast. In few minutes, a bank can do it. So it doesn't take very long time. So the bank does not need to ask for a serious margin or the Hamish Jiddiya or security deposit for this transaction. Okay, however,
okay, no problem. You can continue because there's someone also raised hand. So
okay. Maybe if related to Tawarook, maybe we can take a question.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Mr. Hussain. Yeah, we encourage to ask question related to the content of the lecture. Yeah, Mr. Hussain Abdul Qadir, are you here? I think, okay, another question, Doctor. Many Islamic scholars say that Tawarook Munazam operated in Islamic banking is Hila from riba. Hila from riba. What is your opinion about this? Is there any solutions replaced to contact? To
Uh,
contract. Yeah.
well, okay. Yes, this is a controversy. The Tawarook Al Munazam, even the YIC Fiqh Academy, they allowed 1 year, and the next year they prohibited it, the Tawarook. And the scholars, they say it is a backdoor riba. Well, the solution is how we do it and how we can develop the platform so that the Tawarook is not organized. Well, in some banks, in some Islamic banks, they do tawarruk. There's sometimes there is no execution of the contracts, and they use some kind of asset which are superficial. So these are the issue that triggers the issue of tawarruk al-munazzam. Okay, but if we move forward, we use the real commodity. So what the ways, the conditions for tawarruk not to be munazzam is that we use the real commodity, and then the second is that there shouldn't be any pre-agreement or arrangement between the bank and with other brokers. Means maybe the broker should not be like the subsidiary company of the bank, for example. That's number two. And number three is the bank shouldn't be the selling agent for the customer. So as I have shown in this model, the two conditions are fulfilled in the example that I showed. However, the third one was not possible because of the platform didn't allow. There's no infrastructure to support that. But maybe what I can say that the structure that I showed, it is better than the Tawaruk Munazam that many other banks they used to use before. So it is a better version, and of course, I would say that to move forward, we need to allow the agent, the customers to sell to the agents by themselves. So then it will not be Munazam anymore. So coming back, yeah. So we know
Doctor,
it is. Yeah,
there
yeah,
is
sure.
one Pahmia. She just asked either you can explain again the slide number 10 before we proceed. If
Okay.
maybe she has some doubt.
The slide number 10. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Maybe briefly you can explain it.
Okay. So again, I think I better start from 9. So here was the example that someone he needs cash of 10,000. So Mr. Aman is the customer. So he applies to the bank, and bank approves it with a 7% profit for payable in 5 years. So Islamic bank and the customer, they will go through 6 stages in order to have this tawarruk transaction. So we have that Mr. Aman is the client here, and then the bank as at the middle, and then we have broker A, a commodity broker B. So first stage, okay, they follow the stage number. The client will request for financing, okay, for this one 10,000 US dollar. So the bank will approve it. So when bank approves, the bank with the second stage, bank will purchase an asset with the value of 10,000 cash from a broker, any commodity broker. Let's say this is broker A. So after buying that asset, so bank is the owner of the asset. So at the stage 3, bank will sell that asset to the client, Mr. Aman. But bank will sell with the cash price plus a profit. So if you calculate, profit is 3,500, which is actually 7% in 5 years. So the bank will sell that asset with a profit and with a deferred payment, means the customer will pay in 5 years' time. The customer doesn't need to pay now. Okay, so now the asset is already sold to the customer. The customer is the owner of that asset. Okay, But the customer does not want to hold that asset. He needs cash. So what the customer will do, he will appoint at stage 4, the customer will appoint the bank as an agent to sell that asset to another broker. So the bank at stage 5, as this stage 5, sell the assets as the customer's agent for 10,000, because the real value of that asset is 10,000 in the market. So the bank will sell it and get that 10,000 on behalf of the client. So once the bank receives the cash, bank will immediately credit the amount to the customer's account. So the customer got the cash. And then at stage 6, this Mr. Aman, you will pay monthly basis, because he bought. You see that at stage 3, the obligation created on the client that he will pay the price in 5 years is 13,500, which is $250 per month. So I hope it is clear. Okay, I just made so many mess here. So I think it's clear. Yeah. If not, we'll proceed. Okay. So after that, okay, after when we understand the Tawarook, can I proceed? Okay. Yeah, we talk about that. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
And there is no more question for now. I think
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You.
So if there is no question, so I have a question again. So this is the question time for me to the audience to make sure. Yeah, yesterday one of the questions was very controversial, but I still remember about the Wadia Yadul Amana at Damana. So now this is here is the another question to the audience on the Tawarook, based on what we discussed. So just to know, to make sure that you are clear on Tawarook. Yeah. So which of the following statements best describes the Tawarook? A, it is a sale and buyback agreement between two parties on the same asset. Okay. B, it is purchasing a commodity and selling it to another party at a higher price. Okay. C, it is purchasing an asset with credit price intending to do business. D, it is purchasing an asset with credit price and selling it to another party for a cash price. And E, okay, there are 5 choices. It involves purchasing a commodity with credit price and selling it to another party for a deferred payment. Okay, so which one is the answer? So I would request the audience, you can give your answer in the chat section. Just you can write your answer either A, B, C, D, or E. So which one is the best that describes the Tawarook? Yeah. I got one answer from Hassan.
I think there is a competition between D and E.
Okay. So many D. Okay. It's a D, C. Okay. E. Okay. D and E. All right. There's many said E.
No, one person many times she said E.
E. Okay.
Yes.
Means he's very sure.
Yeah.
Very much sure on E. Okay. We wait for some others as well. So, okay. There is D. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Look, let's see.
Come on, guys, please respond. Respond your.
Yeah,
Your,
please.
good to understand. Otherwise, why should you take conduct this training and workshop?
Yeah, this to check your understanding, and yeah, and it doesn't matter. I cannot see you, so don't be shy to give your answer.
In chat group, question and answer section, only one A we can get. Only one person
Okay.
says A.
Okay, so at least there is a someone choose A. Okay, there's A, E, and D. Okay. Okay, there's another A. There is a D. Okay.
I think doctor, that's okay. Now,
All right. Okay, so let's. I think time up. So most of the answers were between D or E, and there are some A, but there are no B, and there are no very few said B and C. So which one is the answer? Okay, let's see the first one. It is a sale and buyback agreement between two parties on the same asset. So A cannot be. Okay. Okay. Because A cannot, because Tawarook should be more than two. So this is actually Inah. Sale and buyback between two parties will be Bai'ul Inah. It's not Tawarook. So A cannot. Okay, how about B? It is purchasing a commodity and selling it to another party at a higher price. Yeah, it somehow, but it also resembles murabaha as well. Okay, it's purchasing a commodity and it doesn't say on cash or credit. So it's just purchasing a commodity and selling it to another party at higher price. So it can be musawama, it can be murabaha. Maybe it somehow resembles tawaruk, but not exactly. So B, we keep it for a while. Okay. C, it is purchasing an asset with credit price intending to do business. Well, it's purchasing an asset, yeah, but to do business is quite general. That doesn't really suitable. So we can also say a no. How about D and E? That's the most answered. It is purchasing an asset with credit price and selling it to another party for a cash price. So as I discussed mm, um, in the figure, okay, so I believe this one exactly represent that one. So it is purchasing an asset with a credit price. The customer will buy at a credit, and then he will sell it for another party for a cash. So for me, the answer is D. Okay. Okay. How about E? It involves purchasing a commodity with credit price. Okay. Yeah, it can be, and selling it to another party for a deferred. Okay. So E cannot be. Obviously, E cannot, because it is first buying something on credit price and then again selling on deferred payment, means also credit. So it is actually by uddain, means selling a debt for debt, is not a tawarruk. So E cannot be, obviously. So the answer is D. Okay, so those who answered D, congratulations. Okay, A, no, B, yeah, B and D, not sure. Okay, so the best answer would be D. Okay,
Doctor,
yeah,
the first one who answered D is Mr. Ahmad Salim Saeed At-Tamimi. So we
okay,
need to congratulate him first because he is
yes.
the one answered first.
Oh,
Ahmad
wow,
Salim Saeed At-Tamimi. Maybe
mashallah,
Nadi Iqtisad al-Islami will contact him to appreciate him maybe.
mashallah. Yes. So the big congratulations to you for getting the correct answer first. Okay, so maybe we can next time. Yeah, our Dr. Mahyuddin, the host, maybe will have give some present, maybe like some Ferrero Rocher, for example, for the correct answer. Okay,
Yeah, no
this
problem, inshallah.
inshallah.
We'll try.
But it says in the sales commodity for a delayed payment. In the sales commodity for a delayed payment, slide 8. Okay, slide 8. Okay, there's question here. Okay, let me look at.
No, she thought is a delayed
Uh,
payment and
ah,
here is a deferred,
yeah, yeah.
deferred payment.
Yeah, commodity for a delayed payment. No, so here I'm talking about the first transaction. The first is okay. The bank will sell the commodity for a delayed payment, means a deferred payment. But the second stage, the customer will sell it for cash because the customer needs cash. The customer will not sell on credit. So that's why the E is not correct. Okay, but of course, sometimes it's sometimes playing with the words, or sometimes it can be tricky. Well, there is a shortcomings in everything, but I hope it is clear to all, and it is an exercise to really test the understanding. Okay, but those who didn't get it correct, inshallah, there will be another question or another quiz after this. So be ready for that. Inshallah. Okay, so any question about Tawarook?
Doctor, yes, there is a question from Samia,
Mhm.
Sister Samia. Banks deal in the form of Tawarook. Doesn't it result in risk, especially since the is payment is for a term, and this includes exchange risk?
Well, yes, of course, there is a credit risk for the bank because and as I said, it is mostly unsecured financing. There's no collateral for that based on the credit score. So there is credit risk. Yes, there is some element of risk is still there. We cannot deny that if the customer cannot pay in whatever reason, so the bank will lose even the capital and along with the profits. So that's why the albay, the sale is halal because it has some elements of risk. But I don't exchange risk. Uh, but I do not understand what do you mean by exchange risk, because usually in this case they use the same currency. Um, I hope if you can clarify that. There's another question: if the bank
Maybe
arranges this,
exchange of commodities, Doctor.
yeah.
Risk, if there is any risk in exchange of commodities.
Yes, there is a risk, but it is very minimum because it is done very fast in few minutes, and the commodity price doesn't change,
Right.
yeah, that much in a short period of time. Usually, if you say the price of aluminium or oil, it is not that volatile.
Yeah. Thank you, Sister Samia. And another one asks if the bank arranges the sale to the third party, is that allowed?
Mm, yeah, that was actually what you were discussing. If the bank arranges, means that bank becomes the agent of the client to sell to the third party. That is a question that the scholars they still consider that it is a tawarruk munazzam or organized tawarruk. But again, the scholars, those who allow it because of they rely on the concept of necessity. That is at this moment the clients they do not have the means to enter the market. They don't have access. That's why they allow it based on a necessity. But of course, I do agree with you that if the bank arrange, then it can lead to then organized tawarruk. Then it will again trigger the issue of hila. But for the time being, the scholars they allow it based on the concept of the darurah or the need al haja.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Farooq. We have already spent 1 hour and we do have 1 hour left.
Okay.
So you can arrange according to that so that we can conclude and we can include all the contents,
Mm.
inshallah.
Okay. I think there's one question again. If we eliminate the dual agency in Tawarruk, it will be an organized. No, if the agency, if we eliminate, it will not be organized, or it will be the real Tawarruk. The issue arises when the bank becomes the agent.
Mm.
Okay, so we move on. There is one more personal financing, which is Ar-Rahnu financing. So this also controversial as well, but also is interesting. So it is also a short-term Islamic pawnbroking facility. So this financing not only provided by the banks, even in Malaysia there are many shops. They just give financing. If you just go to them and provide some collateral, especially gold, they can give us financing. So it's not only a banking product, even there are some shops they just provide this facility. So it's a very classical concept, based on very classical concept of ar-rahan is taking place. So they usually use al-qardul hasan, means give loan, and an asset is given as a pledge. So, and it provides customer with instant cash access by accepting gold items as collateral. Well, so the arahnu is a fine, okay, is a contract. But here again comes to the um, question of the profit for the bank. So when the banks or the pawnbrokers, when they use this arahnu, so the arahnu is fine. But the bank, if they use the ordinary arahnu, there is no profit for the banks, because the bank cannot charge any interest for the loan given. So what mechanism they use to have profit for the banks? So usually in this operation, the Arahnu financing in the modus operandi, the customer can place an amount of gold with the bank for safekeeping, with the concept of wadia yadul amana, and receive an interest-free loan, qardul hasan, with the gold being held as collateral ar-rahnu. Okay, and the bank will take profit from charging the safekeeping fee. Means that the customer will go to the bank and then give his golds, okay, as a collateral, and then he will get cash as Qardul Hasan loan, and then the gold will be kept with the bank. Now, the bank will charge a fee for safekeeping the gold. So that is the income for the bank from this financing. So here, let's an example of the operation. So the borrower simply needs to place a pledge or security for the amount of debt needed. So it does not have a lot of requirement, or even the credit score checking background it doesn't require, because there is collateral here. So it's very fast. The borrower simply just place a pledge or security for the amount of debt, and then let's say the pledged asset is a gold ring valued at USD 2,000. So it's a gold ring valued as USD 2,000. Okay, so usually the bank, they will allow the 50% loan for the value of against the value of the gold. So if the gold value is 2,000, so they will allow 1,000, 50% loan. So just to cover the loss in case of the customer cannot pay back. So the bank has some other costs, like to go for auction, legal charges, and maybe the value of the gold can go down. So in order to to save themselves, they will allow up to 50% or 60% of the value of that gold. Okay, and then the fee, the relevant fees are 50 cents per USD 100 in the value of the gold. Means that they will charge 50 cents for per 100 US dollar value of the gold. So here the gold value of 2,000. So so they will charge 10 ringgit. So USD 2,000 divided by 100 multiplied by 0.5, the 50 cents. So we get 10 US dollar per month. So the bank will charge this fee for the safekeeping of the gold, and this is the profit for the bank. So here is the figure. Okay, so here is the borrower, and then Islamic pawnbroking, the lender. So the borrower will give an asset a rahan, and then the Islamic pawnbroker, they will give the Qardul Hasan to the borrower at the stage 2. Okay, and then the Islamic pawnbroker, they will charge a custodial fee or safekeeping fee based on Wadia Yadul Amanah here, safekeeping fee, because the bank will put it in their vaults for the gold will be put. So this is the charge or the profit that they charge. So the good thing in this financing is that it is very fast, and it doesn't require a lot of documentations and also the background check, and that's the good thing. And but the Sharia issue is here. Okay, the first issue is the charge or the wadia safekeeping fee or ujrah may trigger the involvement of riba. Here we can see the bank gets income from the safekeeping fee, and the way they charge the fee, if we look at it again, okay, so they charge it here, that you look at this calculation, they charge 50 cents per 100 gram value of the gold. Okay, so it somehow like resembles to that means how much they disburse the loan. So that there is like the ratio is there. Okay, so and it's like benefit the creditor, bank as a creditor, he's giving loan and he is taking benefit from the client. So recently, not recently, in 2019, the Bank Negara Malaysia has prohibited this operation of Ar-Rahnu based on the Wadia concept, because they say if we look at the overall, the concept of cards, and then there is a safekeeping fee, and the fee is charged based on the value of the gold, because the Sharia condition is that, especially for ujra or service charge, that it should be a fixed amount for the service provided. But here it's not a fixed amount, rather it is based on the value of the gold. So it looks like that it is a hila, and it goes against the opposite, against the objective of the contract, which of course, which is helping. But here it is getting profit. The creditor is taking benefit from the borrower. So that's why Islamic banks in Malaysia, they do not use this anymore. However, the product is still there. So instead of using Qardul Hasan, they use the Tawarook. Okay, the Islamic banks, they use Tawarook as an alternative to Al-Qard. So here, same like the personal financing, Islamic banks will do the Tawarook and give cash to the customer. So what is the difference? The difference is that in the personal financing, there is no collateral, but here the collateral is provided. And in the personal financing, the approval is based on the credit score of the customer, but here the credit scoring is not needed because of the pledge or the collateral is there. So that is the different, and there are some other issues as well in Ar-Rahman, especially when the operation by the pawn brokers in small shops, they give money. They are not regulated by the central banks, and their operations, most of the time, they don't have any Sharia advisors or even any Sharia scholars to give them any suggestion. And in some cases, they also do injustice, means if the customer defaults, if the customer cannot pay back, so the pawnbroker or the bank here, they will go to market and they will sell the gold, and in some cases they will get profits. Means, come to this example here, the gold value is 2,000, but the bank gave 1,000 US dollar as loan. But if the customer cannot pay back, so let's say the bank sold the gold and the bank sold for 1,800, let's say. So from here, the bank can take back the bank's 1,000 or plus, let's say 100 ringgit as the cost. So 1,100. Okay, so the 700, the bank should return to the client, right? But in many cases, especially not in the pawnbrokers, they do not return anything. So that is injustice, and it is eating someone's property illegally. The bank should return the excess, and also the pawnbrokers. If they cannot find the client, they may give it to charity, or can maybe give it to the public treasury. So that's our Rahnu operation, and with that, I conclude the Islamic personal financing. Then I move to the one of the most popular Islamic product, which is Islamic credit card. So some consider it as a service, some as
Doctor, I
yes.
think before that, there is two questions
Okay, all
related
right.
to Tawarook. Mr. Hassan said Tawarook and Muraba. What is the difference? This is number one. Okay, please, Dr. Faruk.
Okay. So Tawarook and Murabaha, they are different. Okay. So in some cases, Murabaha is just one part of Tawarook. Okay. But Tawarook is more complicated than Murabaha. So let's go back to again the example that I gave. Where you see here, okay. it is Tawarook, but inside this Tawarook there is Murabaha. What is Murabaha? Murabaha is I buy something and then I sell to someone else with profits. And then the condition for Murabaha is that I have to disclose my cost price. So here there is Murabaha as well. Okay, you see at the stage 2, the bank will purchase an asset, right, with 10,000, and then at stage 3, the bank will sell it to the customer with profit, right? So it is Murabaha here. Okay, but the Tawarook is add something more with the Murabaha. Okay, that is the step 4 and 5. Okay, so is there any difference between Tawarook and Murabaha? Is the answer is yes. Murabaha is a simpler than the Tawarook, and Murabaha is can be one part, or it just have a the initial part of Tawarook is Murabaha, but the Tawarook is more than that. So that's the difference between Tawarook and
Khas. Okay,
okay.
good. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Another one, mashallah, he said we always listen to Arab countries that there are two mazhabs in Islamic economy, Malaysian mazhab and Middle East mazhab. For example, by Al-Aina, Tawarruk, Mu'azzam, Munazzam are allowed and operated in many Islamic bankings in Malaysia. So what do you think? What's your opinion about this?
Yeah, a very good question and interesting as well. Yes, there is always controversy and between the Malaysian scholars and the Middle Eastern scholars, and the biggest controversy was on Bay'ul Ina. But
Right.
as I said, Malaysian, what is good in Malaysia is that they are moving forward. They are always developing and innovating their products. So we can say that 80% of their INA products are already changed to Tawarook right now. Okay, so in the industry in Malaysia, you cannot find INA anymore easily. It's only the transactions, the products that already executed before. If you go to any Islamic bank right now, all of them, they are using Tawarook. That's I would say that the good thing, or is a kind of harmonization between the Middle East and Malaysia. But in the Middle East, they allow Tawarook. They have been doing it, and whether it is organized or not is difficult to comment. But as I read with some articles, and it shows that even in the Middle East also there are some form of organized Tawarook, because even in case of Tawarook, the Malaysian platform is using the Bursa Malaysia, the Suq Sila, the commodity market. That is a platform that facilitates the Tawarook better than the other places where they use organized Tawarook. As I said, in Malaysian Suku Sila, there are 3 conditions. They already fulfill the others. They only lacking of one condition to be a real Tawarook. But in some other parts, they cannot even fulfill the 3 of the conditions, even one from the 3 conditions that I mentioned. So I think that's would be
I
my
think that's
answer.
clear now. Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
very much, Dr. Farooq. Ahsanullah alaik. MashaAllah, barakallah feek.
وإياكم.
So, yes, we can continue to Islamic credit cards.
Yes. Islamic credit cards. The credit card is a plastic card that enables the card holder. Just the basic introduction of a credit card is just a plastic money or plastic card that enables the card holder to purchase goods and services by credit in a Sharia compliant way. And instead of charging interest, it imposes a service charge or profit rate on the cardholder. While in the conventional, of course, there's a interest, but in the Islamic, instead of that interest, they will impose a service charge or ujrah fee, or there will be a profit rate if they use the Tawarook or any other contracts. And Islamic credit card, there is another distinction between Islamic and conventional credit card is that Islamic credit card holder is not allowed to purchase some item or services which are not Sharia compliance, like non-halal food, or to pay for some services which are, or which are not Sharia compliant, that involves gambling, or for example. So all are prohibited in the Islamic credit card. So now, what are the underlying contracts? Again, in Islamic credit card, there was Bai'ul Ina, and then again changed with Tawarook and Ujrah, service charge, Al-Qard, loan, and Wadia or safekeeping. So the most popular one, and that the scholars they allow, and there's less controversy, is in Ujra. Of course, there are even issues, but I would say the best product at the moment right now is the Ujra-based credit card. So Ujra-based is a fee, the service charge that the bank takes when the client or the card holder uses the Islamic credit card. And it is permitted for the bank to charge for providing the services to the client. So bank's income is mostly from the service that they provide. It's a service charge. So unlike the conventional credit card, the Ujra credit card charges only the fixed service fee. So while in the conventional is, of course, the interest rate is based on the usage of the cash, of the money. But in Islamic credit card, the service charge should be fixed, and usually there is a monthly service fee and an annual service charge in the Islamic credit card. So how it works? Same is a model here. How the Ujra-based credit card works. So when any customer, any client wants to have a credit card, so the bank, let's say, approve at the stage one, the first stage, bank approves the client's application and determines the credit limit. So based on his credit score, the bank will approve his application and also determine the limits, that how much this customer is able to use. Again, the credit card is also an unsecured financing, means there's no collateral for it mostly. And maybe in some cases, banks ask for guarantor, but there's no collateral for it. Okay, so at first the bank will approve, and then the bank will create a credit card account for that customer. There will be an account, and then the client, and then the bank will allow the customer to use the card. So at stage two, clients start to use the credit facilities. You'll start to use the card. So at stage three, the client purchases goods and services and pays using the credit card. So when the client buys using the card, the bank will immediately pays to that merchant. And then stage four, the client pays back the card amount, or plus the ujra or the service charge. So whatever the money the client used to buy the products and services, that is given as al-qard, or loan. So the client has to pay back that loan, and then has to pay an ujra or service charge. So this ujra, as I said, there are usually two types. First is the monthly service charge, and there is also an annual service charge. So this is the modus operandi for ujra-based Islamic credit card. However, there are some conditions for this ujra-based credit card. Sorry. Yeah, there are some conditions for this ujra-based credit card. The first one is the ujra or the service charge should be a fixed amount. So this one will make the service charge is different from charging interest. Usually, interest is charged based on the percentage of the amount. It's a ratio of but the ujra or service charge is a fixed amount because it's based on the service. It's not based on the amount used. So the first question is very important here, that the service charge is something fixed. It should not be in accordance to how much money is given, or how much money is borrowed from the bank. Regardless how much, of course there is a limit, but the service charge should be a fixed amount. And then it should be based on the bank's actual cost, but not profit. And the second condition is the service charge is based on the cost, because to give the card and then to arrange this facility, the bank has a cost. So the bank cannot take service charge to make profits. Service charge should be only to cover the costs. So this is a very crucial point for Islamic banks, that the Islamic banks cannot get profit if they issue Islamic credit card based on the ujra concept, because ujra or service charge is just to cover the cost. It's not for profit. Why? If there is a profit, so it will lead to, again, the creditor is getting benefits from the borrower, so it will lead to riba. So these are the two conditions. And then because of this, so there are some issues, and lately, maybe if I have time, I'll later show you some of the latest ujra-based credit card, where they charge a very high service fee, and then they give rebate to the client. So they follow the conditions that there is a fixed service charge. So the service charge is 3,000 ringgit, for example, or 3,000 US dollar per month. Okay, so they have a service charge, but every month they will give rebate. Okay, so how they give the rebate is based on the amount used. Okay, so they have an actual charge. So actual charge is like is around, let's say, 20%. Okay, so I give you an example. Let's say a person in a credit card, he used his limit, his credit limit is 15,000, and his ujrah, let's say, is 3,000. Is 3,000 per month. Okay, month. And then use that person, he used in the first month. Okay, he just used, let's say, 1,000. He buy something, and then he just use 1,000 US dollar. So now for that, the bank will not charge him this 3,000. What the bank will do is they will charge him 20% of this. So the fee, the person has to pay the fee is 20% of this 1,000. So the person has to pay 200. Okay, so this the bank will charge. So what the bank will do is the bank will charge this 200, and it will give rebates. Rebate of if we deduct from this 3,000 is rebate will be given is 2,800. So this is the mechanism that many banks they use. So they follow the condition of ujra service charge, that they make it fixed, that the service charge is 3,000 every month. But in actual fact, what they do is at the end of the month, they will look at how much the customer use, and then they will they have a they have I would say hidden, or sometimes they do disclose that they will charge actually 20% or 10%. So they will make the service charge based on the amount used, and then they will calculate how much is the, let's say 20% of that amount. So they will charge that amount as the service charge, and the rest they will give as rebate from this ujra. So this is the example I give. So here they keep the ujra, okay, every month 3,000. But let's say 1 month the customer, even though his limit is 15,000 he can use, but he just used 1,000. So the bank will charge only 20%. So which is 200. Okay, so the bank will give 2,800 as rebate. And then, however, this rebate, the banks, they say it is bank's own discretion, means it is not contractual. And the scholars also, they agree that if the rebate is given on by the discretion of the creditor, then there is no issue on the Sharia. But if it is contractual, then it will be an issue. So apparently it looks okay, this model, but then some other scholars, they argue that so what's the reason for the banks to charge, to put so big amount of this ujra, like 3,000 every month? Why they do it? While there shouldn't be a big amount, it's unjustified. It seems like the bank is making profit from this ujra. So again, it will lead to riba, because it's a bank is a creditor making profit. Ujra should not be for profit. It should only cover the loss. So and then the question is, there is no difference between debit and credit card. Shouldn't be any different in terms of the service charge for the Islamic banks. So why Islamic bank is charging so big amount for this credit card? So the issue is there. Then the Islamic banks, they also reply that there's no relation on the usage of the fund, but the fee is charged for the service provided. So it is on the service. So that's the controversy is there. But then again, the many Islamic banks, they are using the ujra based credit card, and some Islamic banks, they do not use, like Al Rajhi, they doesn't offer Islamic credit card because they do not probably they do not agree on this model. And then in the Islamic credit card as well, there is a penalty charge for late payment. And so according to the Sharia scholars, the penalty can be charged, but it should be given to charity. That is not only for a credit card, but for all others. Well, but one thing to remember here, that usually the credit cards, usually they will give a grace period, means if the client pays back within the 20 days or 30 days, so there will be no service charge. Even for Islamic banks, if the client pays within that grace period, there will be no fee, no monthly fee. So the client will get 100% rebate. So that's okay. The question again. So now again, the question time. So dear participants, are you ready this time? So the question is, which of the following is true about ujra-based credit card? A, Islamic banks are allowed to impose only an annual service fee. B. Islamic banks are allowed to make profit from the service charge imposed on the cardholders. C. Service charge can be imposed on the cardholder based on the proportion of the amount used. And D. Islamic banks are not allowed to give a pre-agreed contractual rebate to clients on the service fee. Okay, so I welcome your answers. Yeah, so your time start now, and let's see who can give us the correct answer.
Oh, most of them D are saying D.
Okay,
Hmm.
I think I can see a Pahmia Kusain said D, and then B, D and B. So far, I can see two answers. Is there any more? Yeah, come on. Some said A. Okay, there's A. Okay, there's D.
Follow the answer.
There's
You
B.
can also give an answer, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Mahyuddin, you can also give an answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you like to announce any prize for this time? For the
Price should be there, but let's see.
Okay, you will announce later.
Yeah.
All right.
First one was Ahmed Salim Saeed Tamimi, and this one, yeah, you announced the winner.
Okay. So you can wait for a few minutes if there is any answer. There's many say B, D, A, B. But this is not that tricky, I think. It's most on.
In question and answer section, also some people say Halima Said said A, Hana Salmani D, then 2% B, Hassan and Zakaria B.
Okay.
Yeah.
B, D, C. Okay. Oh, there are many B's lately. Oh, there's C as well. Okay. Okay, Abdul Majid said A. Okay. Doctor, how long can we give them?
I think it's okay, doctor. Now we can decide now.
Okay, so we close. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in fact, we got all, A, B, C, D.
Yes.
MashaAllah. All
Let's decide the correct answer, and then we'll find out who answer the correct answer first. He will be the winner. Okay. So the question says, which of the following is true about Ujra-based credit card? All right. Okay, look at A. Islamic banks are allowed to impose only an annual service fee. Okay, so no, they also can um, impose a monthly fee, and usually there's no issue on that. So A cannot, because they are not only allowed to take annual fee, they allowed to take other fees as well. Okay. Now go to B. Islamic banks are allowed to make profit from the service charge imposed on the card holders. Okay, so the key word here is make profit. Actually, Islamic banks are not allowed to make profit from the service charge. As we learn in the condition, okay, for Ujra, is that Islamic banks can take service charge, but it's based on the cost. They cannot make profit from the service charge. So B also cannot. Okay, look at C. Service charge can be imposed on the card holder based on the proportion of the amount used. Oh, so that's dangerous. Service charge cannot be based on the proportion of the amount used. So it will be also riba, because the condition, remember, service charge should be a fixed amount. It cannot be based on the proportion of the amount used, proportion of the amount borrowed from the bank. Cannot. So C also obviously wrong. So we have the final option is D. So D is the answer. Okay, let's check again. Islamic banks are not allowed to give a pre-agreed contractual rebate. Yeah, I just mentioned pre-agreed contractual rebate is not allowed. Rebate is allowed with the condition that it is given by the discretion of the creditor, by the bank. But if it is pre-agreed and contractual, it is promised earlier that I'll give rebate, the scholar said it is not allowed. So the answer is D. Okay.
And Pamir Hussain is the winner.
Okay, so the first person who said D is, again, doctor?
Yeah, Pamir Hussain. I don't know where is she from.
Okay.
If you can mention in the chat group, please.
Okay. So it will be the winner for the second question.
MashaAllah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Fahmia Kusain from Philippines. Oh.
And the first one, Ahmed Salim Saeed Al-Tamimi. Akhun Al-Karim, where are you from? From Kuwait or from Saudi Arabia? Can you just mention in the chat group? MashaAllah, he's from, no, I live in UAE. Okay, MashaAllah. Marhaban bikum akhi, shukran, mabruk.
Okay. From Yemen. Okay, so congratulations to the winner. So hope there'll be there will be present for you, inshallah, from Dr. Mahyuddin, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And those who couldn't win, so don't be frustrated. Thank you for your attempt, and I hope you are now clear on this, and hope, inshallah, there will be future opportunity for you, inshallah. Okay, so move on. So after the Ujra-based credit card, there are some Tawarook-based credit card. How it works, we know the Tawarook application as well already. We saw the modus operandi for Tawarook. So in case of this credit card, the Islamic bank will execute a Tawarook transaction and deposits the cash into the client's credit card account. So every month, at the beginning of the month, the bank will do a Tawarook transaction. It's quite similar to that we see in the personal financing. So the bank will do the Tawarook, and then bank will put the cash into the client's credit card account. And then the client will use that money to purchase things, and then he will pay back on monthly basis. The client purchases goods and services using the credit card account and pays back the obligation created from the Tawarook, because Tawarook is a sale, so there is a debt obligation on the customer, so he will pay on usually on monthly basis. So um, Tawarook, as we already discussed. So the thing here in Islamic credit card using the Tawarook is that the Islamic bank has to do the Tawarook every month at the beginning. With that, it will give cash to the client, and it will put the cash into the client's credit card account. So that is the difference. So the issues or disadvantage in the Tawarook is that, again, as we mentioned, the over concentration and Tawarook, that is so many Tawarook transactions in everything. And in this credit card, the bank has to do Tawarook every month for one customer. So that is also quite difficult. And even based on the research from one of my students, from his study, she came out that in some of the credit card products, there are some cases where there is no execution of Tawarook. The bank just gives cash to the customer without executing the Tawarook, so which is of course a violation of the Sharia and a Sharia non-compliance risk that shouldn't be happening. But it happened, and especially in the case of credit card, where um, is where the Tawarook should be done many times. So that's why they may have the violations or the issue of non-execution happen. So if we compare between this Tawarook-based credit card with the Ujra-based, the Ujra-based is a fine, but again, when the issue of the rebate comes, then it's create controversy. But Tawarook is a fine, but the thing is again the over concentration on it, and if in case there is a non-execution of the Tawarook transaction. So these are the two basic contracts, either Tawarook and Ujra. So if you ask me which one is better, of course, generally the Ujra is better if it follows the condition, but if not, then the Tawarook is better, is in my own opinion. And then there's one controversy still on the cash withdrawal. As we know that some credit card, most of the credit cards, they will allow cash withdrawal. Means that if the card holder, he doesn't need to buy something, but he needs cash emergency. So if he withdraws cash, so there will be a service charge for that. And that service charge also is not a fixed amount in many banks. The service charge is based on the amount of cash withdrawn. So it's in proportion. So that creates also the doubt of riba as well. And that also is same in both the Tawarook base and Ujra base. And I hope, and I didn't see many articles on that from the scholar's perspective, but this issue I think should be addressed, that why the credit cards, they can impose the service charge based on the amount withdrawn. So that is can be a big issue. And because of this credit card, many Islamic banks also opted not to issue a credit card. Like in case of like Malaysia, I can see Al Raji and then Bank Muamalat, they do not offer credit card. So because looking at that issue, and then another important thing is if it is ujra based, the bank cannot take ujra for profit. So there is the banks also don't have much interest to issue credit card. But then again, maybe some banks they can still offer credit card because to have customers. So as we see that all these Islamic financing products all have an issues. They are not complete. As yesterday, I think there was also a question about which one is completely Islamic or that. Well, there are some issues, but my conclusion is that continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. If we want to say that we'll make something 100% halal contract product, and then we'll start, it will be very long. It may not be possible. So rather we start with, based on the situation, based on the istihad, we start the best solution. We find the best solution from Sharia perspective, and we start and we do improvement. And we can see that there are improvements from Bayul Ina to Tawarook, and from organized Tawarook to real Tawarook. So there are many improvements. So that's I think all from me today. So we have already discussed personal financing based on the Tawarook, Ar-Rahnu financing, and also Islamic credit card based on Tawarook and Ujra concept. And of course, there are many more contracts in Islamic offered financing financing products offered by the Islamic banks, like they have treasury products, and also they have services for international trades that we call Islamic trade financing. But we not cover here because that's more complicated. Maybe inshallah it will be included maybe for the next workshop will be. So with that, I thank all of you, and if you have questions, so we can take few questions and we can discuss further, inshallah. So if you have
thank you very much, our Dr. Faruk Abdullah, for your brilliant and excellent workshop presentation. And we believe that you covered very excellently all the contents of the fourth session, which was financing products of Islamic banking, especially Islamic personal finance in Tawarook, and Islamic credit cards, Ujra and Tawarook based. So we thank you very much, and we also now open the floor for all whoever would like to ask or add any comment, any note, any suggestion. You welcome you all. Either you can write or you may raise your hand. Yes, we are waiting for you. If you have any question, please. In fact, this is our first English workshop within the Arabic platform. And someone asked about certificate. Yes, please, you will get it. You go to our website, and there is a sub-content. You can see how to get the certificates. So it's very simple. We already justified your participation in this platform. Your name is there. So you will get the certificate, inshallah. In case if you don't get the certificate of, or it's very difficult to reach our association, you can see there is our email of the association, Nadi Al-Iqtisad Al-Islami, Al-Barid Al-Elektroni Linnadi. You can just write to our association and we will justify your participation and then we will send certificate, inshallah. And also we do have here Instagram group and WhatsApp group of the association. We encourage you to join our groups so that any new happenings, events, or initiatives, you will be notified by us through these groups and also links, pages like Facebook page as well. So I think there is no any question, never mind. So we just would like to thank all the participants and all the guests whoever joined us in today's workshop from around the world, from different countries, different races, different background. So we thank you very much. And this was our first workshop, and we included introduction to Islamic banking, philosophy of Islamic banks operation, issues in the conventional banking, overview of Islamic banks operation, history, and so on. Second session, we covered deposit products of Islamic banks, Islamic saving accounts, and Islamic investment accounts. In the third session, we covered financing products of Islamic banking, and Islamic home financing and Islamic car financing, and so on. And in this session, last session, Dr. Faruk discussed and also addressed the topic financing products of Islamic banking to Islamic personal financing, Tawarook, Islamic credit cards, Ujra, and Tawarook based. Why I'm mentioning this, this today's workshop is recorded in our YouTube channel. If you go to our YouTube channel, Nadi Al-Iqtisad Al-Islami, you will find, or you can write the topic like Islamic banks, products, and services. Then you will find our lectures, this today's workshop there. So you can go and re-listen to that, and so that you can understand more. And moreover, we thank all the participants for your participation and for your support to our Nadi Al-Iqtisad Al-Islami. And our special thanks, of course, to our guest speaker, Dr. Muhammad Faruk Abdullah, who is senior lecturer at the University of Sultan Zainul Abidin in Malaysia. And he's our regular speaker and lecturer in this platform. We are very much pleased and honored to have Dr. Faruk Abdullah with us in this Nadi Al-Iqtisad Al-Islami, and our management. Thank you very much for your effort, for your support, and for your time, and for your materials, philosophies, understanding, concepts that you are delivering and you are giving us. So we thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Faruk Abdullah. And lastly, we also thank our second facilitator, trainer, who was Dr. Sharif, Muhammad Sharif Al-Amri, from the University of Sabahattin Zaim, Turkey. And he also conducted 2 sessions. And our thanks go to Dr. Sharif for his wonderful presentation and for his time, effort, and also his services, his also thoughts, philosophies, whatever he addressed in these 2 sessions. We thank him very much for his, and also we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward you both, Dr. Farooq and Dr. Sharif, and to reward all the people, all the participants who joined us in this today's session. And finally, of course, we would like to thank our management of Nadil Iqtisad al-Islami, especially our Director General, Dr. Ala Al-Ubaid, who is working very hard and also trying her best to serve this society and to help the students, professionals, scholars to understand the proper Islamic banking and economic system, Islamic Sharia compliant standards, and that's why this workshop we conducted. It's like an opportunity given by Dr. Alal Arbeid, and she is very serious to to conduct this kind of programs, and she is always pushing us to conduct more and to bring up with the new initiatives in various languages, in Arabic, in English, and also whoever behind this association from and also our staffs, our secretary, Sister Asma and Brother Yahya and other all muhawirin, yani moderators and speakers in this association. We would like to thank you very much. And this 2 days workshop was very wonderful. And inshallah, this is not only the workshop, and there are many other workshops and trainings are coming soon, inshallah, and we will be announcing very soon for the second workshop on Islamic banking and finance very soon, inshallah. So with that, we would like to listen and hear some nasiha and also some suggestions from Dr. Muhammad Farooq, as we have many students as well joining in this workshop. Welcome, Dr. Farooq.
Okay, thank you very much again to Dr. Mahiuddin. So it was really a pleasure, and also I really enjoyed much in this workshop, seeing a lot of questions, and I can feel that the participants, they are also really excited to learn this, and really it was very good for me to share. And of course, and I would like to apologize for any shortcomings, especially with a few days were quite tight. So, but Alhamdulillah, could manage to have it. So, sorry for that. But again, inshallah, we'll keep on touch, and we'll have maybe a knowledge sharing session again. And I very much thank to Dr. Ala Al-Ubaid for giving us such an opportunity, for giving us this platform. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him. And also to all the members, to the moderator, especially Dr. Muhammad Mahiuddin, and to all other moderators and the staff members who are providing the support. I'm really thankful to them, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them. And to all the audience, I hope you have enjoyed, and what we have learned, may this guide us to improve our muamalat, especially in our personal transactions. Hopefully, if to me, if one of you among all the participants, if you just choose to take Islamic product instead of the conventional because of this today's workshop, so that is enough for our success of this workshop. So I hope what the knowledge that we have shared, we will implement, and inshallah we'll keep on improving and learning, and we'll keep in touch, inshallah. With that, again, may Allah reward all of us, may Allah forgive all of us. I conclude. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much, Dr. Farooq. Some people ask about the slides and also Madda al-Ilmiya. For your information, you may get it also from our Facebook page. If you go to Facebook page, Nadil Iqtisad al-Islami, we normally post there our like lecture and also a Madd al-Ilmiya, link of Madd al-Ilmiya from Google Drive. So you can download it from there as well. And also you can get it, how to get our certificate. Yes, I told already, I said that from our website, Nadil Iqtisad al-Islami. If you write in Arabic or also in English, you will get the website and you go to how to get the certificate, and then you register your name, and your name is already there because you already joined. So, and you will get the certificate there, inshallah. Otherwise, you just directly contact us through our email, and also we do have email, official email, you can see everywhere. So you just email that you didn't receive your certificate if you don't receive your certificate, never mind. Thank you very much. With that, we conclude here our today's workshop. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يتقبل منا هذه الجهود المباركة والخدمة الطيبة ويثقل بها في ميزان حسناتنا في الدارين. ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى التوفيق والسداد والإخلاص وينفعنا ويزيدنا بما فيما ينفعنا ويزيدنا علما وعملا صالحا. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us more strength in learning these Islamic economics and financial models, and to spread, to promote more Sharia standard strategies and models. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.